Hey, in this Blender tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to model, texture, and light this futuristic car tunnel. I used this tunnel in my famous Audi commercial that I animated completely inside of Blender. If you want to download this tunnel asset, you can download the entire blend file on my Patreon. I also have other perks, including extended cuts of my YouTube tutorials. So consider becoming a member. It's the best way to support me as a creator. Without further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. Okay, first let's hit A and then X to delete everything. Okay, now we need a car model for reference. Now you can use any car model you like. There's a ton of free options online or on BlenderKit. So if you search for a car model on BlenderKit, let's say a Volvo, if you want to use something similar to the one I used in my commercial, hit enter. And then this is a free model that you can use. So just drag it into your Blender viewport. And again, I'm going to be using this as reference. So let's just select the empty and then let's center it out. So let's just move it directly in the middle. Let's have it face the other direction. So we're in the -Y direction right now. So let's just turn it around. So you can use R and then Z, and then let's do 180 so let's do GY, and then we'll just move it back here. Let's hit Shift A, add in a cylinder. RX90 to rotate it, enter. We're going to follow real world scale. So let's hit N. Let's make it 25 meters wide and let's make it 18 meters tall. And we'll make it 25 meters long. Okay. Then let's go into edit mode. Let's use the face select mode and then let's select this face, hit X to delete, and then this face, X, delete faces. Now let's go into the -Y direction. And let's go back to the vertex select mode. First, let's go into wireframe mode. You know what? Let's select these points right here. Hit S, Z, 0, and then enter. Drag it up by hitting G and then Z. And we'll just drag it up right here. Let's tab back into object mode. Let's hit G and then Z. Let's move it up. Okay, so I think it looks a bit too wide for some reason. So let's just go hit N and yeah, let's just change it back to 18 meters tall. Let's move it back up. Okay, now we're going to go into edit mode and let's just deselect this. And now we're going to add a crease or some sort of gap in the middle. Hit Control R and then you can scroll on your mouse wheel to add 2 loop cuts and then left click and then you can just hit escape to bring it back in the middle. Now we're going to scale it on the Y axis. So hit S and then Y. Instead of doing it manually with your mouse, we can just hit SY and then we can hit 0.1 on your keyboard, enter. And then we'll hit SY again and then 0.1 on your keyboard again and enter. That's a bit too thin, so let's hit S and then Y and let's just scale it up a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. You know what? It doesn't really have to be exact. If it's in this general shape, then it's fine. We are going to hit E to extrude and then right click on your mouse to put it back. And then we'll hit Alt-S on our keyboard and we can scale it like this. You can hold Shift on your keyboard to go slower. And I don't know, something like this will work. Then let's go to face select and let's just select these faces by holding Shift. Let's hit G and then Z and let's bring it down. Again, I'm going to add another road on top of this, so this won't really matter. Now let's go into our modifiers. Let's add in a subdivision surface modifier. So subdivision, and we'll change the render to 1. Let's go into the -Y. Let's just turn this off for now. Let's go into wireframe mode. Go into edit mode by hitting tab. Go to vertex select and let's select all the points up until here. And then let's hit X and let's delete. Now go back to object mode and now we'll add in a mirror modifier. So anything we do on this side, we won't have to repeat on this side. Turn back our subdivision on, and let's bring the mirror modifier above the subdivision. We can sharpen these edges by going into edit mode, go to wireframe, and then let's just add in a loop cut. So hit Control R, loop cut, like this, and then Control R, loop cut like this, just to sharpen those edges. And we can do the same for this. Add in some loop cuts by hitting Control R and we'll just bring that in. Control R on this side and we'll bring that in like this. And we'll also add some more loop cuts in the middle here. So hit Control R to add in more. And let's try in the middle. Scroll up your mouse wheel to add 2. Click, and then just right click. So now there's this nice little detail in the middle here for the tunnel. Let's hit right click and let's shade smooth. And we also want to flip the normals since they're not facing in the right direction. Well, they kind of are, but we're going to be looking inside the tunnel, right? So since we're looking inside the tunnel, we want the inside of the tunnel to be blue. Let's go into edit mode. Let's hit A to select everything and then hit Alt N on your keyboard and then just flip the normals. Now the inside's blue, which is what we want. Now turn that off. Let's add in an array modifier. So go to your modifiers and search for array. And we'll just zero this out. Make this value 1 on the y-axis. But it shows up at the top, so to fix that, just hit Control A and then apply all transformations. So now it's going to be going in the right direction. So let's add about 10. So next we are going to need a solidify modifier because right now the edge is like paper thin, and usually when you look at tunnels they have some thickness to them. So let's add in another modifier, and let's add in a solidify modifier. Let's just adjust the settings here. So let's check mark even thickness. We'll make it about 0.1. If you're happy with how the tunnel looks, let's apply some of these modifiers. You know what? Actually, let's delete the solidify modifier first. Let's just apply the mirror modifier and let's apply the subdivision. Now let's add in a solidify and we'll make it 0.1, even thickness, maybe 0.2. Instead of a shade smooth, let's just add a shade auto smooth instead. So let's hit F2 and rename this to tunnel. I think this is the thickness we're going to stick with. So we're going to apply this modifier. So let's hit apply. But before we hit apply, I'm going to just remove the array and then I'll hit apply. And then I'll add in the array back. Again, just zero that out. 1. And we'll add in like, we added 12, right? So 12. Okay. Let's go into edit mode. And let's do Shift A and add in a cylinder. And then let's do G and Z and we'll bring it all the way up. And let's scale it down. And then face select this face, hit I, make a new face, and then E. Something like that. That's gonna act as a light. And now we're also going to add in some more lights. So let's do Shift A and let's add in another cylinder. Hit RX90, enter, and then G and then Z, and we'll bring it up and we'll zoom in on it. S, scale it down, S, and then X, or Y, sorry. And we're gonna bring it up here. And then G, Y, or X, and move it to the side. Bring it down. And I wanna place it like here. So G and then Y. I wanna place it like right here. Or even, let's bring it to the side here. I want to place it here, actually. So this is going to be like a tube light, sci-fi-esque almost. You know what? We're going to scale it a lot more. So let's scale it like a lot. And move it here. Let's duplicate it. So let's hit Shift D, and then let's hit Z, and we'll duplicate it. Then G, and then X. Bring it back up like that. And I think I can make this one longer. So S and then Y, I'll make it longer actually. Not too long, but just longer than the other one. Let's hit Shift D again, and then let's do X and then move it to the side here. Let's select this, hover over it and hit L. And let's do Shift D and let's duplicate it again. And I want to move it, I want to put it on the side here. And let's do Shift D again and then Z and move it up. Then GX, move it back in. Now let's tab back out. Let's give this entire tunnel a material. So let's go to the material properties, hit new, and we add in a material. I gotta save this as well, so let's just quickly save it. And now we are going to go back to edit mode. Let's add in another material slot. And we'll hit new. This one we're going to change to emission, which is going to be light. So now if we just hold L on each of these tube lights, And then we can just hit assign. We can also click this one here. So let's just select this one only. Go to the second material slot and hit assign. To not get confused, we'll rename the second material slot to tunnel lights. And we'll crank up the strength to 5. Now to preview this, let's go into our render settings. Let's switch to cycles. Let's switch this to GPU. If you have a GPU, highly recommend that. Go and see what we're looking at. So let's go to render mode. And this is what we got. So while in edit mode, we're going to add in some more lights. So let's hit Shift A. Let's add in a cube. And let's do GZ. And let's bring it to the sides by hitting G and X. Let's scale it by hitting S. Hit SX or Y, sorry. SZ. Scale it down a bit. RY. Bring it closer to the wall. And now let's select this face, inset, and then let's hit E and extrude inside a little bit. Okay. And then with these selected, let's go back to material properties. Let's add in a new material slot. Hit new, and we'll call this orange light. And then we'll select emission, and we'll change the light to orange. And this will be like 10. Let's hit L to select the whole thing. Yeah, Shift D, Y, and move it to the side here. I don't know why this happens, but whenever you move it to the border here, it just moves the entire thing. So let's just keep it like right here. Hold L and select these two. And let's do Shift D again. And then let's do X and let's move it to this side. But we got to rotate them. So let's do RZ 180. And then let's do G and then X again. And let's bring it out. Now let's go back into rendered mode and let's see what it looks like. Did we not hit assign? Where's the yellow lights? Okay, let's go back to edit mode. Let's select these faces. Let's shift and select this face. Hold shift and select. Remember, you're only selecting the inside. So select this face and then this face. And then let's select our orange light and hit assign. See what it looks like. Look at that. I think the tunnel itself. So go back. Let's call this tunnel material. Let's call it tunnel base material actually. And we can actually, let's see what it does if I metallic it. And let's decrease the roughness. Let's add denoise to see what's looking like properly. And maybe darken it a bit, I guess. I think we might need more light. So let's go back to edit mode. Let's go to solid view and let's select these faces. So make sure you're not selecting these faces. So deselect out of this by clicking here. And then let's hover over here, hit L, and let's assign the tunnel light. So click on the tunnel light and then hit assign, which will add more light. There we go. Now let's add in a road. So let's hit Shift A. Let's do plane. Let's go to top view. Let's go to wireframe, hit S. Let's just scale. We can't see properly here, so I'm just going to go back down here. Go back to solid view. I think that's better. Yeah. And then let's go to tab. Let's hit E, extrude up a bit, just a little bit. And now we're going to go to -Y. Let's just select the tunnel as well with the road and let's just bring it down. Something like that. Honestly, the tunnel's not wide enough because it's still not covering this area. Let's hit S and then Y. Scale it till it's covering. And we'll hit F2. We'll rename this to road. Let's go back to edit mode. Let's do Control R. Let's add in another 2 loop cuts. Click and then right click. And then we'll do S and then Y or X, sorry. And we'll just move it like here. So now we got like a sidewalk. And then let's go to face select. Let's select this face. Let's select this face. And we'll hit E. And we'll extrude up a little bit. Yeah. So if we move the car now, select the car and move it to the side. Okay, now let's move on to the texturing. Let's just hide the car for now. And then with the tunnel selected, let's go to the shading tab. We're going to go to the material properties right here. And we're going to select our tunnel base material. Make sure the Node Wrangler add-on is enabled. You can just check right here. If it's checked, good. Go on your Principled BSDF and on your keyboard, hit Control Shift T. And then we are going to look for a tunnel texture. Now, I'm going to be using this tunnel texture right here. And what's cool about these textures are that I generated them on a website called Polycam. I'll leave a link in the description for the same ones that I'm using. So download them and then just select them like this and then apply the textures. It looks a bit stretched. To fix that, we're just going to go over here, increase the scale to 5. And we also have a displacement. So to turn on the displacement, you just have to select your material. On your material properties, scroll all the way down, go to settings, change this to displacement and bump. This will turn on the displacement. Now it's a bit too strong, so we can just decrease the scale to like 0.2. And you'll have a bit of displacement on your tunnel. If you don't want any displacement, you could just, turn this off by just unplugging this. Next, we're going to texture our road. So select your road. We are going to hit new. We're going to need 2 materials. So one's going to be the main road in the middle, and then the other texture is going to be the sidewalk. So let's add in another one by hitting this plus, hit new, and we'll rename this to sidewalk, and we'll rename the first one to road. So to separate them, we're just going to go into edit mode, and with the sidewalk selected, let's just make sure all the faces are selected on the sidewalk. And select your sidewalk, and let's just make it darker. And then hit assign. Then just select the middle. This is going to be the main road. So select all the faces on the main road by holding shift. And then we're going to hit assign. Now that they're separated, we can now add our material. So with the main road selected, go on your Principled BSDF and hit Control-Shift-T. And for this, I'm going to be using the American road here. So you can download the same one that I'm using. I'll leave a link in the description. Just select the albedo, the ambient inclusion, the displacement, normal, and roughness, and apply it like this. It might take a little while. Okay, and there it is. Now that's way too big. So let's just fix that. And also it comes with displacement. Again, if you want the displacement on and you want to be able to see, just go over here and turn it on by hitting displacement and bump, which will add a displacement. Let's make it like 0.2. Then go over here to your mapping coordinate, and we're gonna let's bring back our car. Okay, so let's make all of them 5. See what that does. Okay, yeah. Let's move our car to the side here. Let's go ahead and add an array modifier to the road. So let's go to array. Let's go to modifiers, hit array, and we'll just hit 0, and we'll hit 1. And we need 12, right? So let's do 12. So it goes all the way to the end. And there you go. It is nicely textured. Okay, now let's go back to layout. Let's go to material preview. I think the tunnel is too big right now. So select the tunnel, hit N. I'll change the X dimension to 20 meters, and I'll change the Z dimension to 14 meters. That's better. So select the road, and instead of scaling it like this, you see it ends up like messing up the texture. So instead of doing that, hit Control Z, and we're gonna go into edit mode, hit A to select everything, then go to your tool right here, then go to options and select correct face attributes. If you hit S and then X to scale it, the texture will remain the same. So you can get a better look if I just turn off the overlays. So look, if I hit S and then X and then scale it in, it's not affected, which is what we want. Let's go to our rendered mode. If you think it's too dark, you could select your tunnel, go to the materials, and go to tunnel lights. So let's add in like 30, which makes it a lot brighter on the inside. All right, that wraps up this tutorial on how to model a car tunnel in Blender. If you're interested, I posted an extended cut on Patreon where I go over how to add more details to the road, like road decals and other assets. You can also get access to this entire blend file on Patreon to use in your own projects. So consider becoming a member and get access to a ton of cool perks. If you want to see the next part, where I show you how to animate this car driving through the tunnel, along with how to animate multiple camera angles, hit that like button, and more importantly, hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribing and liking this video will let me know the interest level of all my viewers on whether or not they want to see the next part. Alright, until next time, peace.